So glad you could join us. I'm Phyllis Jackson.
The FAA facilitates the first mass air shipment of Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine from Belgium to the United States. The vaccines are being placed at designated distribution sites so they can be shipped immediately once they are authorized by the FDA. Vaccinations could begin within 2 weeks. Moderna files for emergency use authorization approval from the FDA. The latest report shows its vaccine is 94.1% effective in preventing the virus and 100% effective at preventing severe disease. For the latest on the vaccine distribution efforts, we caught up with Emory infectious disease expert Dr. Carlos Del Rio.
The FDA will then convene a panel. I hear that it will take place on December 10th to review the applications not only on Moderna and Pfizer. I suspect both will be approved. We need to continue practicing our mitigation strategies, so masking, social distancing, until we get enough of the U.S. population vaccinated that transmission of the virus goes away, until we get what's called herd immunity. So don't think that as a vaccine, as a switch that you turn on, the light is there and we're done. It's more going to be like a faucet that you're slowly turning off, and as you're turning it off, the water starts, receding, but it won't go away immediately.
Will Congress get a COVID-19 relief package passed? They're running out of time. The package will require billions in order to distribute the coronavirus vaccine nationwide. CVS and Walgreens among the pharmacies set up to distribute free COVID-19 vaccinations once they become available. Early voting begins December 14th for the January 5th Senate runoff between Kelly Loeffler and Reverend Raphael Warnock, along with Senator David Perdue and John Ossoff. The races will determine control of the U.S. Senate. Black Friday sales see a 22% increase online, but traditional Friday traffic to brick-and-mortar stores dropped by more than 50%. Atlanta City Council member Marcy Collier Overstreet drops off a special delivery to Ben Hill Christian Church. Thanks to a generous donation from Walmart, some District 11 residents will be able to pick up Christmas trees for their homes.
Glad you could spend a little time with us. We'll see you on the next edition of Stay at Home Connect.
Okay.
What's going on today?
Today we're in West End at the Goodwill, and I'm one of the people that are being honored as an unsung hero.
Cleta is my girl. Cleta is one of the hardest working council members in the city.
Cleta's been providing leadership on council since I was in kindergarten.
Turn to that girl right now. What would you say? What would you say to her?
You mean from back then?
Just talk to her. Just talk to her.
Wow, you come a long way. And you're not done yet. You still got many miles to go.
I was gonna let y'all take the summer. Did she believe she would get on a wall?
No.
She didn't do it for the wall, did she?
It's very special to be honored. Somebody wanted my photograph a couple of weeks ago, and I didn't send it. I said, I don't need to be honored. So I didn't think any more about it until somebody sent me the mural, a picture of the mural. So I thought they were playing a joke on me, so I had to come over and see it. So it's a privilege. Tennessee State University and Clark Atlanta University School of Social Work helped to make me. But God has led me to this place, and I'm very grateful.
Job well done, madam.
Very good.
Job well done. Job well done.
Thank you.
Welcome to Stay at Home Connect. I'm Phyllis Jackson.
Many Georgia hospitals and intensive care units approaching capacity. Dr. Janet Memark is the Public Health Department Director for Cobb and Douglas County.
We have critically low critical care beds at this point, so probably one available in the county, and then there are low medical surgical beds. So remember previously I had said that the hospitals were busy and they weren't all COVID patients. Well, we're seeing more and more COVID patients that are being admitted.
Georgia election workers are back at work recounting votes from the presidential race. The Trump administration made the request. Unlike the hand count, which confirmed Joe Biden as the winner, this time the ballots are going through a scanner. Georgia counties have a deadline of December 2nd. Despite the warnings from the CDC advising against travel, millions of people are doing just that this Thanksgiving week. The TSA reporting more than 1 million people screened at U.S. airports. Atlanta City Council member Natalie Archibong takes part in a special Thanksgiving food giveaway with the Marcel Anderson Foundation. The event took place at the East Lake YMCA.
Before COVID-19, this wonderful foundation that was birthed out of a business in East Atlanta decided to help families have the ability to have a home-cooked meal. Instead of standing in line for food around Thanksgiving, cook the food at your own house. Have the dignity of independence and being supported by your community.
Residents received everything from dressing and vegetables, along with a gift card for turkey. Atlanta City Council member Marcy Collier Overstreet joins with reality star Candy Burris Tucker and Gooder for a Thanksgiving grocery store pop-up.
This Thanksgiving is not like any other Thanksgiving. Everyone has challenges that they've never had before. And more than ever, everyone needs these groceries, and they really want to get with their family in a small setting to enjoy Thanksgiving. And this is a way that we're doing that.
Everybody hold your horns if you're ready for the holiday.
Councilmember Andrea Boone joins Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms and rapper T.I. for the annual Thanksgiving food giveaway at Jackson Memorial Church. Endless rows of turkeys, collard greens, and other Thanksgiving dinner staples were handed out during the drive-thru event.
We are here to celebrate Thanksgiving with some of the residents in this community that are really in need of help.
That's a wrap. We'll see you on the next edition of Stay at Home Connect.
morning, everyone, and welcome to the Transportation Committee here for the Atlanta City Council. My name is Andre Dickens. I have the pleasure of serving as your chairman, and I call this meeting to order. Ms. Puladini, will you do a roll call of members?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Councilmember Antonio Brown.
Here.
Councilmember Amir Faroki.
Here.
Councilmember Jennifer Ives. Here. Councilmember J.P. Matzkite.
Here.
Councilmember Marcy Collier Overstreet. Present. Councilmember Matt Westmoreland.
Here.
All members are present, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Puladini, and thank you to all of the members on the call. It is good to have a full set of members. Thank you for being all in attendance. So now, will you please read the remote meeting statement?
Yes. This Transportation Committee meeting is being conducted remotely as advertised and as in accordance with OCGA 50-14-1. The meeting will be conducted in conformance with Robert's Rules of Order and the Rules of Council as authorized by the City Code. The public may access the meeting by dialing 877-579-6743, conference ID 831-599-1256, which was noted on the November 20th, 2020 public meeting notice. The public may also view the meeting on Channel 26, the Council's homepage at citycouncil@atlantagA.gov, the Council's YouTube channel, or the Council's Facebook and Twitter pages via @ATL Council. All presentations are available on the Atlanta City Council Transportation Committee presentation page. The agenda was published and made available on November 23rd, 2020 via atlantacitygA.iqm2.com. In addition, the public is able to submit comments via voicemail at 404-330-6059 between the hours of 4 and 7 p.m. the day before this meeting. All persons present on the remote council meeting conference bridge are requested to mute your phones and speakers. Additionally, speakers must be acknowledged by the presiding officer prior to speaking. Each council member is requested to open the Outlook email and minimize the screen. Amendments, substitutes, and informational documents have been distributed to committee members beforehand. Thank you all in advance for your cooperation.
All right, thank you for that. Now I'm going to be making a motion to amend the agenda. We're going to move the presentation to after some of the legislation items. So we're going to be moving communications up to right after public comment, and then we're going to also amend the paper to amend this meeting agenda so that we can accept a walk-in. So I make a motion to amend the agenda for those necessary changes. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, I heard Brown first, so seconded by Brown. Let's please prepare the vote.
The vote is open.
Chair, I'm having connectivity issues. It's trying to come up now, so I'm affirmative.
Okay. And Mr. Westmoreland?
Yes.
Okay. Good deal.
The vote.
So, is the vote closed? Okay.
Yes, the vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. The agenda has been amended.
All right, now make a motion to adopt the agenda as amended. Is there a second?
Westmoreland, second.
Okay, let's prepare a vote.
The vote is open.
Ms. Overstreet, how do you vote?
Affirmative.
Thank you.
The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. The agenda has been adopted as amended.
All right, now let's I make a motion to approve the minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, second by Westmoreland. Let's prepare a vote.
The vote is open.
Ms. Overstreet, how do you vote?
Affirmative.
Okay, thank you.
Vote is closed. 7808. The minutes have been approved.
All right, now can you play the recording of the public comment? I think we just have one.
Yes, that's correct. One moment, please.
Greetings to you, committee members and staff, and special greetings to you, citizens of Atlanta, monitoring your government in action and taking note of the degree to which public comments made by citizens are respected and acted upon. And Howard, Senior Advocate, Public Policy Analyst. The Atlanta Planning Advisory Board recently re-elected Debbie Skupczynski as APAB President for 2021. Under Debbie Skupczynski, APAB no longer has a transportation committee. Neighborhood Planning Unit R, chaired by Antonita Robinson and previously chaired by Ricardo Jacobs and by Paulus Clare, has had no transportation committee for years. Residents, professionals, business persons, and stakeholders within Neighborhood Planning Unit R deserve a transportation committee. On 3 occasions, representatives of the city-certified resident organization, which is also protected under provisions of the United States Housing and Urban Development Department, known as HUD, were denied the right to be placed on the agenda of Neighborhood Planning Unit R to discuss transportation and other matters on behalf of citizens and other residents in the proximity of City of Atlanta Senior Zone. With no one reaching out to them to correct that situation, some of those residents are demoralized. Thank goodness they get some relief, that the NPUR-9 has chosen to take a second vacation this year, this time in December, following the earlier month-long vacation they took in June. Given such acceptance of the NPUR-9 antics, how can the transportation-related problems of senior citizens in Southwest Atlanta ever be addressed? If you committee members decide to remedy the situation at NPUR by enacting stronger citizen participation legislation, be advised that any attempt to increase citizen participation at NPUR will be met with fierce resistance from the NPUR-9, Antonita Robinson, Paulus Clare, Ricardo Jacobs, Lynette L. Scott, Alfred White, Allison Hathaway, Jerry Williams, and the supporters and cohorts of the NPUR-9 syndicate.
And that concludes our public comment.
Okay, let's go on to the next communications item.
Item number 1, 20-C-0129, a communication from Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, appointing Mr. Reginald Snyder, Esquire, to serve as a member of the Metropolitan Atlanta Rapid Transit Authority Board of Directors for the City of Atlanta. This appointment is for a term of 4 years.
All right, I think we have Mr. Snyder on the call.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, it's Reggie Snyder here.
All right. Just tell us a little bit about yourself and why you'd like to serve on this MARTA board.
Well, I am an attorney here in Atlanta. I'm a partner with the law firm of Taylor English Duma. I practiced law for right at maybe 23 years now. Originally from Alabama and moved to Texas after law school. I practiced in Houston for a number of years and moved back to the Southeast, coming to Atlanta in 2008. And since moving here, I've worked with quite a few different governmental and quasi-governmental entities, including the Atlanta Housing Authority, Atlanta Land Bank, Fulton County Land Bank, Atlanta Fulton County Recreation Authority, the Atlanta Beltline, and of course MARTA, where I've done some work with the organization. So I have a lot of experience in the area. I think that I could bring not only a legal perspective, but also a practical perspective in having worked with governmental entities in terms of the issues that they have to deal with on a daily basis. And frankly, as a citizen of Atlanta, as a parent of 2 children here in the city, I really think it's my duty to help where I can, and the mayor's asked me to do it, and I'm very excited and gracefully accept the opportunity to do it, and look forward to it.
Okay, we have a question or a comment from Ms. Ide.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for being here with us today. I did just want to ask, since you are, a partner at Taylor English, and I believe that they've done work for MARTA in the past, how the firm would handle that, both for the law firm, and I believe that Taylor English has a lobbying associated entity also.
Right. Well, Taylor English is a big firm. We've got a lot of different attorneys who do different things. I personally would not work on any matters, but as long as there isn't any sort of inherent conflict where I would be involved in any way or have any type of decision-making responsibility in terms of whatever matters they're working on, particularly on the lobbying side, because we have an entire group called the Decisions Group that does lobbying for MARTA, among others. To the extent that I am, there is something that comes up that I would have some sort of participation in, I would just recuse myself of that. I wouldn't be involved in it. But we don't do a lot of work for MARTA, so I'm not sure it would be a very big issue, but to the extent that it might be, I would just not participate in the vote.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Any other members of council want to comment or ask questions? Okay. So Ms. Snyder, I think motion approved. Okay.
After you're done talking.
Yeah, so we got a motion from Matt Westmoreland. Mr. Snyder, I will be seconding that motion. I will encourage you to ride MARTA, to listen to MARTA riders, to look at MARTA in its totality as we try to do more MARTA, to grow MARTA in terms of its reach as well as its equitable access across the city. So, excited to have you, hopefully with the adoption of this by council, hopefully to have you serve, but, to really look at this as an opportunity to provide more for those people that are vulnerable, and not only for these folks, many of us that are voluntary riders, but those people that have no choice. They don't have any other mode of transportation. I just wanted to publicly state that to you at this time. A lot of board members get selected for various boards all across Atlanta. We do a lot of appointing, but I want to make sure that it really touches, that the selections really touch the people that need it the most, and that the ear is down to the ground and really focused on what serves the public the best, if that makes it clear.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, I appreciate that comment, and I'll just mention one sort of anecdotal comment about when I first moved to Atlanta. My wife and I were living in Brookhaven. We were just renting a house, really, at the time, trying to decide what part of the city we wanted to live in. And I rode MARTA every day. I worked downtown at a firm called Cozen O'Connor at the time, and I would ride it every morning. So I got a good sense of what at least riding the train was like. But to your point, I mean, I certainly want to know more about how the entire system works and what improvements can or should be made. So I would definitely take your words to heart.
Good deal. Thank you. All right, there's a motion by Westmoreland and a second by Dickens. Let's prepare our vote.
The vote is open.
Ms. Overstreet, how do you vote?
Affirmative.
Okay.
The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable.
All right, let's go to the next item.
Item number 2, 20-C-0130, a communication from Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, reappointing Mr. Robert Ash to serve as a member of the Metropolitan Atlanta Rapid Transit Authority Board of Directors for the City of Atlanta. This appointment is for a term of 4 years to begin January 1, 2022 and expire December 31st, 2025. And there is an amendment in your packet to correct the terms of the dates of the term to January 1, 2021 to December 31st, 2024.
Okay, Mr. Ash, are you here? And we need to, as you stated, we need to amend this at a certain point to correct the timing, but we'll do that in a second. Mr. Ash.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. How are y'all?
Doing well, doing well. We know that you have served already for at least one term, if not two. Tell us about what you would like to achieve going forward, and what has been some of your most proud work.
Well, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate the committee's consideration this morning. I, as you said, have served on the MARTA board now, I think 9 years. And I've been very proud to be able to help right the fiscal ship at MARTA, so that when I was appointed back in 2010, we were running a significant annual deficit. We were able to turn that around so that we were able to rebuild our bottom line and our budget reserve, our fiscal reserves. We were able to do that through a variety of ways, but consistently along the way, we have worked to improve service and expand our reach. Because the thing I try to keep first and foremost is that, like the job you do, the job I do for the city on the MARTA board is a public service. MARTA is, for many people, the way that they connect to work, the way that they connect to school, the way that they connect to healthcare, to the grocery store, in essence, into their lives. And so, we do what we do to try and provide mobility for Atlantans and for the region. I think the thing I'm probably proudest of is, I guess it's two things. First, when I joined the MARTA board, if you think back 10 years ago, there were discussions about our $50 million annual deficit and how we were about to be insolvent and how the state was going to have to take us over. And we don't hear that conversation anymore, because we were able to right our own ship, and we were able to fix what was wrong and do it in a way that protected our riders and protected the service we delivered. And then the second thing is, a couple of years ago, back in 2016, we were able to get permission from the Georgia General Assembly to pursue additional expansion funding here in the city of Atlanta, the More MARTA program. I know you are all very familiar with it. But as a native Atlantan, the idea of making a multi-billion-dollar investment, more transit in Atlanta, is something that I'm going to be proud of for a long time. I'm glad we added Clayton County to the system. We continue to look at ways to expand the system's reach. But for me, it is both about expansion, i.e. expanding our geographic footprint, and enhancing the service in the existing footprint. And More MARTA was really a way to do that. So I have been I consider it a real blessing that the city has entrusted me with this, and really appreciate it. Reggie, who I have not yet had the privilege of meeting and working with, but look forward to, he talked about when he used to ride the system. In candor, I would describe myself as a regular rider, but not a daily rider. Although since the pandemic started, I haven't been on the system because we have autoimmune issues in our family. So I haven't done that. But I look forward to the day that I get to do it again.
Understood. Thank you for that. And I will make a motion to amend to change the date of service to currently it says January 1st, 2022 and expires December 31st, 2025. That should say January 1st, 2021. So I make that motion to change.
Second, Matthew.
Okay. All right. We have a motion and a second by Massacite. Let's prepare the vote.
The vote is open.
Mr. Westmoreland, how do you vote?
I will vote in favor of that amendment.
Okay.
Vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item has been amended.
Okay. And now I will make a motion to approve as amended. Is there a second?
Second.
Is that Westmoreland? Okay.
It is, yeah. Thanks.
All right. Let's prepare a vote.
The vote is open. Vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable as amended.
Okay. So thank you to you both. Look forward to talking with you further regarding your regarding MARTA as you go forward. Thank you, Mr. Ash. Thank you, Mr. Snyder.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and happy holidays to you all.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Pulandini, let's try to. I know we had a challenge right now with our Tim King. Let's see if we can get him in right now, or we need to move him to like 10:45. Are you on the call right now, Mr. King?
Councilmember Dickens, yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I wanted to. I know you had a 10, so let's, Ms. Pulandini, let's jump right to Section J, our item that Mr. King is for 20-1691.
Okay, an ordinance by Transportation Committee to amend Chapter 138 of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances so as to create Article 8 to be titled On-Street Right-of-Way Dining, to establish regulations related to and procedures for the authorization of eating and drinking establishments that wish to operate outdoor dining areas on the street in the public right-of-way and for other purposes.
All right, Mr. King, let us know about the on-street right-of-way dining.
Okay. First of all, Councilmember Dickens, thank you very much for accommodating me this morning for the conflict I have. I greatly appreciate that. And all council members on the committee, I'm going to be joined by Josh Humphreys from my office, who's the Director of Housing and Community Development. Josh and his team have been working on this proposal before you this morning and working very closely with the city's Department of Transportation on it as well. Throughout the pandemic, and this is beyond pandemic, but certainly during the pandemic, we've been cognizant of things that we could do to assist small businesses of many types. But as you all know, restaurants in particular have had a difficult time during the pandemic, and we've been working on various issues and working directly with restaurants to try to help them in any way we can in terms of maintaining their service, given the safety guidelines that are now in place. As we move into the winter, of course, we have a climate that is somewhat, at times, forgiving to outdoor eating, even during the winter. But as restaurants prepare for the spring, we wanted to propose this before you today as an additional measure in cases where you have a restaurant location where the sidewalks are narrow or there is not sufficient room, on private property to accommodate outdoor seating, we have worked with DOT on this legislation that would allow us to permit the use of on-street parking spaces for dining. And this is something I'm sure if you've traveled at all during the pandemic or as you're looking at other cities, you've seen done in other cities, and in particular in downtown areas of other cities. We are proposing, of course, that this be available in business districts throughout the city. Atlanta's different than other cities in that way. A lot of our most active areas in terms of street lights and restaurants or outside of the direct downtown area. We want to allow this in business districts throughout the city. There would be some restrictions on it and obviously lots of safety measures associated with it. To get into that very briefly, I might just call on Josh to give you an overview, brief one, of the kind of technical aspects of this, and we can answer questions following Josh's explanation. Josh, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Thanks so much, Tim. Good morning, everyone. This is Josh Humphreys. So the technical way, kind of building on what Tim mentioned, kind of our goals to help businesses expand opportunities for outdoor dining, particularly during COVID. The ordinance builds on the sidewalk right-of-way dining legislation that was passed, I believe, for the end of last year, and it expands it and allows for restaurants to use on-street parking locations adjacent to their business where those exist and they'd like to do so. And we've worked closely with both the City Design Studio and the Department of Transportation to connect kind of guidelines and design standards based on the Tactical Urbanism program that they recently released that includes designs for use of parking locations like this. So it would use those design standards and then kind of functionally work under very similarly to the sidewalk cafe right-of-way dining permits that we permitted. The way that we wrote this is that it would have a sunset at the end of 2021 in order to really the goal of this is COVID related, right? We want to support businesses during this, and then if this is something that we find, beneficial to our public streets and also for the businesses, we could look at expanding it beyond then. And then it also does not have any permit associated with it because we didn't want it to be a cost prohibitive situation for businesses. So it's a relatively straightforward and builds on a lot of the programs that we already have as far as the way that the application and permitting would go. The streets that it would be allowed on, obviously there'd be on-street parking would need to be on the street in order for it to be an eligible area, and then it uses local and collector streets and minor arterials are the primary streets that this would be allowed on initially.
Okay, Councilmember Dickens. If certainly answer questions about what Josh and I have mentioned or questions or issues that we haven't raised for you or any of the committee members.
No, I don't have any questions at this time because I've asked them of you already. So Mr. Masakai has raised his hand. Mr. Masakai?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Tim, for bringing this forward. I just wanted to ask about the process of that restaurants and businesses have to go through to get this approval. Obviously, there are things that need to be asked, and we need to make sure that all of our legal bases are covered. But I would really encourage you to make it as simple and easy for businesses to go through this process and complete it so that people can take advantage of this. So not really a question, but just an ask for y'all. So there you have it.
Yes, I understand. You don't want the process to get the permit to take 9 months?
There you go. We don't have to go through procurement, do we?
I understand.
Thank you.
Good point. Good point. Thank you for that, Mr. Masakai. Okay. Seeing that that's the last speaker, I make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, that's a second by Westmoreland. Let's prepare our vote.
The vote is open. Vote is closed. 78 nays. This item is favorable.
All right, thank you, Mr. King.
Thank you very much.
10 o'clock.
Councilmember Dickens,
Okay.
appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Pulandini, let's jump back a couple to do our first read.
Okay, item number 3, 20-0-1754, an ordinance by Transportation Committee authorizing the Chief Financial Officer on behalf of the Department of Transportation to transfer funds to the Safety and Mobility Fund project for revenue generated from abandonments and shareable stockless mobility device program fees and for other purposes.
All right, we will accept that without any objection as a first read.
Our next item is number 5, 20-0-1692, an ordinance by Transportation Committee to restate and extend on a month-to-month basis, not to extend 10 months, the Technical Operations Center and Central Terminal Support Area Lease Agreement between Delta Airlines, Inc. and the City of Atlanta, located at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, through April 30th, 2020, in accordance with Section 2-1163, solicitations or awards in violation of law, subsection C, remedies after award, of Article 10 of the Procurement and Real Estate Code, and for other purposes.
And Ms. Pulandini, it's through April 30th, 2021. I think you said 20, but I know you just misread it.
Oh, my apologies.
Yeah, so this will be through 2021. Mr. Selden, are you available?
Port Hartsfield-Jackson. Yes, sir. Good morning. John Selden from the world's busiest airport, Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, and I am the GM. And thank you for taking us today. This is a 10-month extension. The Delta TOC, as it's called, Technical Operations Center, is our largest tenant here. It's 277 acres with 9 million square feet of pavement and about 10 million square feet of building. We have been negotiating with Delta in earnest now for quite a while. But due to the size of it and the age of it, this lease started in May of 1979 and expired in July. So we are looking to get a 10-month extension to do this extensive negotiation during a pandemic with our partner, an airline person with Delta here. We're very close to coming together. We actually have some draft lease documents that we've been working very hard with Delta and their attorneys to get this wrapped up, and we feel very comfortable that by April 30th, 2021, we will have this lease completed. But there are 3 aircraft hangars, a in-flight kitchen, a lot of cargo support facilities, a brand new engine test cell facility, and numerous storage buildings throughout the 200 acres. Thank you.
Mr. Selden, does the, pandemic has hit all airlines pretty, very hard. So I can understand our negotiation posture to be for 2021 and 2022 to be different than what we think it will be 8 to 10 years out. Are there progression in the rate based on the time that we're in, or are you guys setting a flat rate?
Sir, so the land side piece, which is the kitchen, the FAA views property in 2 ways for us. There is aeronautical property and there is landside property. The landside property, you get an appraisal of what the property is worth, and that's what's required to be charged to your partner, whether it's a cargo building, in-flight kitchen, or whatever is landside. That rate is fixed based on appraisal. The airside rate, though, is variable and does not have to meet the appraisal price. Because airports want to bring economic activity to the airport. They can do things to moderate the price of the lease to instill and motivate businesses to come to the facility and to operate out of. So the prices will be, relative to where we are based on what is a fair kind of value for the property based on what the business is. But as you know here, we are already recovered about 40% in our passengers and about 65% in our flights. So if we're going to sign a 30-year lease, it will have escalation in it when we start it, and we'll either do escalation based on a flat percentage or based on CPI, and we're working through that with our partners at Delta now.
Okay. Thank you. That is a very helpful explanation. It actually hit everything I was looking for. So thank you very much. I don't see any questions or comments from council members, so I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second, Matsakite.
Okay. Sounded like Matsakite. Can we prepare to vote?
The vote is open. Vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable. Our next item is number 6, 20-0-1693, an ordinance by Transportation Committee to correct ordinance number 20-0-1542 adopted by Atlanta City Council on September 8, 2020, and approved by operation of law on September 17, 2020, for the purpose of replacing the incorrect funding source listed therein and for other purposes.
All right, Ms. Rackley. Is Daphne Rackley on the phone?
Just checking, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, this is Josh Rowan. I've got this one covered today.
Okay. I got her name listed down here, but
yeah, this one's also going. The details of this one there will be more in FEC later. I'm handling the cleanup legislation, and simply all this is the online system used for right-of-way management. The contract has been extended, and we just need to correct the funding line.
Okay. I make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second. What's wrong?
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Okay. All right, let's prepare our vote.
Yeah, sometimes I
Vote is open.
And if someone could mute their phone in the background, I think that's, yeah. Thank you.
The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable. Our next item is number 7, 20-0-1726, an ordinance by Councilmember Cleta Winslow authorizing the mayor or her designee to make the intersection of Beecher Street Southwest and Rochelle Drive Southwest an always stop-controlled intersection, to authorize the Atlanta Department of Transportation to install stop signs at the intersection and for other purposes.
Okay. Ms. Cotina Alexander, are you on? Or is this going to be you, Mr. Warren?
Cotina Alexander, ACLDOT. We have conducted an always stop analysis at Beecher Street and Rochelle Drive Southwest. Beecher Street is a collector street, while Rochelle is a local street, but the traffic volumes on Beecher is relatively low. The accident analysis also showed that we have 4 correctable accidents in that area over the last 2 years. So we are okay with moving the legislation forward to install an always stop at Beecher and Rochelle.
Okay. All right. Good deal. I make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Overstreet, second.
All right. Let's prepare the vote.
The vote is open. Vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable. Our next item is number 8, 20-0-1733, an ordinance by Councilmember Carlos Smith to amend ordinance 20-R-1504 related to FC 9962, Local Group 2 Resurfacing Project for C.W. Matthews Contracting Company, Inc., on behalf of the Atlanta Department of Transportation, to include a retroactive date in accordance with Section 2-1163, solicitations or awards in violation of law, subsection C, remedies after award, of Article 10 of the Procurement and Real Estate Code, and correct term for amendment number 1 and for other purposes.
Mr. Chair,
all right.
Smith here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hey, Carla Smith, thank you, and welcome to the committee today.
Thank you. This paper, Renew had a paving contract that was passed in 2017 for 1 year. The contract was issued in September of 2018, and then there were some things that happened. There was a drainage pipe that collapsed on Sunset Avenue, and then there was a gas line coordination problem, and I had a stormwater detention project on Hemlock Circle, and so we wanted to wait until that project was finished to pave the street, which is how I got involved in this. So this contract is fixing to expire, and we're going on a month-to-month now. And I request that you pass this so that I can get Hemlock paved.
Move approval. Westmoreland. All right, we have Westmoreland moving approval. Is there a second? Well, I'll second it.
Thank you.
Dickens. All right, let's prepare our vote.
The vote is open. Vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable.
Thank you all.
All right, thank you.
Our next item is number 9, 20-0-1735. An ordinance by Councilmembers Michael Julian Bond and Andre Dickens requesting the City of Atlanta Department of Transportation to develop a portion of the right-of-way along Mullen Street Southwest, located between T Road Southwest and the dead end of Mullen Street Southwest, lying and being in land lot 212 of the 14th District of Fulton County, Georgia. Tax parcel ID listed and for other purposes.
All right, Mr. Rowan or Ms. Alexander, I think you guys want us to hold it. You can just let us know why, and we'll hold it.
Yes, sir. This is Commissioner Rowan. We certainly would like this one to be held. Couple of reasons. One, the legislation that we received had no funding identified. Also, the department, we're not in the position per city code to be doing improvements within the right of way on behalf of developers. Typically, that's required of the developer.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. I'll make a motion to hold. Is there a second?
Second, Overstreet.
All right. Let's prepare a vote.
The vote is open. Vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item will be held. Our next item is number 10, 20-R-4617, a resolution by Councilmember Andrea L. Boone requesting the Commissioner of the Atlanta Department of Transportation to conduct a traffic study on Peyton Road Southwest between Martin Luther King Jr. Drive Southwest and Benjamin E. Mays Drive Southwest to determine the need for any safety improvements such as reduced speeds or stop signs and for other purposes.
Cotina Alexander, ACLDOT. Peyton Road Southwest is designated as a local road. It runs between Martin Luther King Jr. Drive and Benjamin E. Mays. The cross-section is typically 2 lanes with sidewalk on one or both sides of the road towards the north end, and no sidewalks on the south end. The current posted speed limit is 35 miles an hour, and we have several always stops along that segment of the road. Our traffic study will include installing tube counters to check for volume, speed, and classification, compiling a 3-year crash history, and looking for other traffic control measures. We are okay with moving the legislation forward.
All right. I make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second, Brown.
All right, that was
Overstreet got it.
Oh, Overstreet. Yeah, second by Overstreet. Let's prepare a vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable. Our next item is number 11, 20-R-4619, a resolution by Councilmember Carlos Smith to amend Resolution 17-R-4573, adopted by the Atlanta City Council on November 20th, 2017, and approved per City Charter Section 2-406 on November 20th, 2017, authorizing the mayor or her designee to execute contract FC-9962, milling and paving of various streets to include the correct contract term and contract name, and for the purposes.
All right, so is this also you, Ms. Alexander? No, this will be Mr. Sheldon.
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Rowan again. This is very similar to the previous item. It's an extension of an existing renewed contract.
Okay. All right. So, all right. Yeah, I'm looking at it now. My page skipped. All right. I'll make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Let's prepare a vote.
Nays. This item is favorable.
Okay.
Our next item is number 12, 20-R-4669, a resolution by Transportation Committee authorizing the mayor or her designee on behalf of the City of Atlanta to enter into an encroachment agreement with Bandwidth Infrastructure Group GA, LLC, for the purpose of installing fiber optic cables and conduit underneath the bridge at Ivan Allen Boulevard Northwest from Marietta Street Northwest to Gray Street Northwest, Atlanta, Georgia, 30316, and for other purposes.
Ms. Alexander?
Christina Alexander, ACLDOT. We are requesting legislation to allow an encroachment agreement under the bridge at Ivan Allen between Marietta and Gray Street. The company Bandwidth Infrastructure Group will be installing fiber optic cables to provide dependable, economical, and broadband services to businesses in the area. We have reviewed all the plans and applications and would like to move the legislation forward.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second, Wes Long.
All right, let's vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 78 nays. This item is favorable. Our next item is number 13, 20-R-4670, a resolution by Transportation Committee authorizing the mayor or her designee on behalf of the City of Atlanta to execute all documents necessary to acknowledge the assignment and assumption of Orlando Rental LLC of the unexpired term of the consolidated rental car facility agreement with Easy Rent Car Inc. at Hartsville-Jackson Atlanta International Airport in accordance with the order of the United States Bankruptcy Court and for other purposes.
All right, let's hear from Mr. Selden.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, John Selden, the General Manager of Hartsfield-Jackson. Orlando Rent-Co. Acquired Easy Rent-A-Car when Easy Rent-A-Car went into bankruptcy due to the pandemic, and Orlando Rent-Car is going to be hosting Advantage Rent-A-Car here with this, and this is just assigning the rest of the Easy Rent-A-Car, which remains at 11 years left in our lease, here to operate Atlanta Rent-Co., which will be Advantage Rent-A-Cars here. And the MAG is, they pay us $548,000 a year to operate here at Hartsfield-Jackson.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
The vote is open. Vote is closed. 78 nays. This item is favorable. Our next item is number 14, 20-R-4671, a resolution by Transportation Committee authorizing the mayor or her designee on behalf of the City of Atlanta to execute a renewal option for contract SC-9165, Facilities Asset Management and Sustainability On-Call Airport Services with Haley and Aldrich and Jacobson Daniels at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport in an amount not to exceed $1,463,704.57 for the Department of Aviation on a task order basis. All services will be charged to and paid from account numbers listed herein and for other purposes. And there is an amendment in your package. Tax amount to $463,704.57 and also correct the funding stream.
Okay, all right. I'll make a motion to amend to change the contract amount and correct the funding string. Is there a second?
Matthew.
That was an absolute tie. Who wants to fight for it?
All JT.
All right, second by Mazakite. Let's vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 78 nays. This item has been amended.
All right, now make a motion to approve as well. Actually, let's hear about it first. We hadn't heard about it. Let's go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. John Selden again. The $463,704 is for a 2-year option that we'd like to execute. Haley Aldridge is a good performer of ours. They had a 3-year contract with us that expires here in December of 2020. They do climate impact analysis, waste audits for us, airport employee ride options, which is our Aero program for carpooling. They do our stormwater programs, and they provide on-call environmental services for us here at Hartsfield-Jackson. And we'd like to exercise this option for $463,000 for 2 years of service.
Okay. I make a motion to approve as amended. Is there a second? Second. Westmoreland.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas. This item is favorable as amended. Our next item is number 15, 20-R-4672, a resolution by Transportation Committee authorizing the mayor or her designee to execute an intergovernmental agreement with the Metropolitan Atlanta Rapid Transit Authority for redevelopment of MARTA's rail station located at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport and for other purposes.
Mr. Selden.
Yes, sir. The station was built in 1988, and this is its first upgrade that it's going through, so it's in need of an upgrade. And this intergovernmental agreement will memorialize that there is no cost to the airport or liability of MARTA's upgrade, and it says that MARTA will be complete within 12 months. It'll include new elevators and escalators, a new canopy, and upgrade the cosmetic finishes inside the terminal here, inside the station, which is inside our terminal, domestic terminal here at Hartsfield-Jackson.
Okay. When you get a chance, if you can, send the images, site plan or what have you, renovation images to the committee, just so you can see it. I see the task list. I just wanted to kind of see. Do they have a drawing? Like any kind of.
Chairman, we'll send those out right after transportation today.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yes,
I make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second. Westmoreland.
The vote is open.
And while this vote is happening, Mr. Selden, when do we anticipate it being completed again?
Well, it's got 12 months worth of construction time. I believe the designs are being completed and reviewed by our Department of Aviation people here at our planning and development staff. We are expecting construction to start early in 2021.
Okay. Thanks.
The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable. Our next item is number 16, 20-R-4673, a resolution by Transportation Committee authorizing the mayor or her designee on behalf of the City of Atlanta, on behalf of the Atlanta Department of Transportation to apply and accept grant funding from the Georgia Department of Transportation for the 2021 Local Maintenance Improvement Grant for the purpose of resurfacing certain City of Atlanta streets in the amount of $4,032,979.50 and for other purposes.
All right, Mr. Rowan.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Josh Rowan. This is the 2021 LMIG, about $4 million worth of paving, and you'll see attached to it is a list of streets that goes along
with this application. So we request your approval and look forward to getting back to doing some more paving.
Good deal. All right. I make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Westmoreland will second it. Let's vote.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable.
All right. Now it's time to take the walk-in, correct?
That's correct, but the department has an updated version which they would like before the committee. Would the committee like to take up the presentation while we wait for that version?
Okay, sure. Let's move on to our Atlanta Department of Transportation presentation. This is our end of year presentation, so it's rich in lots of details. So everyone be ready to listen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is Commissioner Rowan. It's been quite a long journey in 2020. I'll give everyone time to take out your notebooks and pencils and take copious notes. And in all seriousness, I really believe we've had a successful year together. It only feels like 10 years ago that we were starting 2020 talking with a safety message, and just as we looked at the Atlanta Department of Transportation, I felt like many of our goals fit in one of three buckets, and the three buckets were safety, state of good repair, and bus operations and efficiency. And we're a Vision Zero city. That was an accomplishment in 2020. We've passed legislation that allows us to dedicate right-of-way for the More MARTA program. Very appropriate to be discussing MARTA earlier in the meeting. And the one topic that we found our way into towards the end of this year is our state of good repair discussion, be it sidewalks, be it pavement. I'm going to add bridges to the discussion as we move forward. And so I think we've had a very comprehensive and robust time in 2020, all during a pandemic and remote operation. So we really appreciate the partnership and working with this committee. Today's presentation is pretty basic. I'm going to do my best to move very quickly through some standard pieces that we want to be reporting on. But we really want to talk about our transportation infrastructure management team, our operations and maintenance. That's the one group that we haven't really focused on. And so like I said, I'm going to move quickly, and then I'm going to turn this over to Cotina and to Pierre to talk about what we're calling TIM, because they're such an important part of what we do. With that, let me jump right in. If you look at slide 2, we have our very simple outline. A safety moment. We want to start everything with safety because safety is our business. Quick ATL DOT update, and by quick I mean probably 10 seconds. Talk a little bit about safety, some Vision Zero updates, Renew Atlanta T-Splosh. I'm just going to focus on the revenue today. We can get into the cost and the deeper dive on the reporting that we send monthly, I believe, offline. There's nothing really out of line to report there. And then we want to talk about the maintenance side and the great men and women who are maintaining and preserving our transportation infrastructure. So moving to slide 3, this is a slide that we borrowed from NACTO, and I think it's very important as we talk about safety, and safety really meaning slower speeds. I don't know if any of you saw that over the Thanksgiving holiday, the fatalities in Georgia doubled from last year. I've not personally read the accident reports, but I suspect most of that is speed related. We've talked before about how speed kills as many people on an annual basis as DUI. Yet there's no public outrage about speed. We seem to celebrate it. It seems to be part of our everyday lives, and many folks are getting in their cars every day and choosing to ignore the speed limits. But if you look at this slide, this is one that I think is very important. The top picture shows essentially your range of vision at 10 to 15 miles an hour. And you can essentially see edge of right-of-way to edge of right-of-way. You can see the sidewalks, you can see the parked cars, you can see the pedestrians. The bottom picture shows your range of vision at 40 miles an hour, essentially your tunnel vision. Now, let's look at what we don't see. We don't see the pedestrians, we don't see the parked cars, we don't see the sidewalks. We simply see the travel lane that we're in and the oncoming traffic in the other lane. And that's where the danger comes in. And to get a little nerdy on you, we engineers call that perception reaction time. And typically speaking, it takes our brains about a second and a half to process what we see, and then about another second to react. So somewhere between a second and a half, 2 seconds. And at 40 miles an hour, that's a pretty big deal. The bigger thing is that the way our vision works, a lot of the danger and the hazards you see in this picture, you only see at 10 to 15 miles an hour. You don't see at 40. And so we're going to continue with this discussion about speed and how we slow things down, because our streets have gotten way too fast. We've seen that during the pandemic, and it's unnecessary, entirely unnecessary. And so that's our safety moment for today. I'm going to jump ahead to slide 4, the ATL DOT update. It was interesting. I had a group ask me why we call it ATL DOT and not ADOT. And ADOT is actually the Arizona Department of Transportation. So we don't want to be confused with them. Plus we like the ATL. So you'll continue to see more talk about that. Slide 5, nothing really I need to add here. If you want to see what we're thinking about, what we're working on, as we said when the department launched, we're implementing a plan. We're not focused on one-off projects anymore, and we're very serious about the plan and moving in a positive direction. On slide 6, we also understand that successful organizations are very intentional in cultivating a strong culture. And I believe we just have some fabulous people. I've said before, and I've said it many times in 2020, one of the greatest things that I've realized and that I really have been gifted with in this team is just the rich talent we have. And we have a very malleable team. We do things from streets to cut up trees to snow and ice, and very, very responsive, very, very strong team with a positive attitude. And we want to build upon that, because at the end of the day, I believe that the culture will actually enable the strategy to come about. On slide 7, nothing really to report on the org chart. That has stayed fairly consistent over the last couple of months since we last updated you. We are finalizing the interview process on 2 key positions, so I hope early next year to be rounding out some of those vacancies and have more to add there. On slide 8, we've added some new slides, and I think slide 9 is a really good one, and it talks about our why. And as you look at successful organizations, they engage in priorities and plans that are bigger than themselves. We like to say at ATL DOT we have a purpose, and our purpose is safety. And we want to see more pictures that look like the bottom right and no pictures that look like the upper left. And so this is our reality. We have very fast, dangerous streets. We want to be promoting pedestrian activity. We want to be promoting children walking to school. And I really believe you could wrap up much of our plan with the goal that says to make car ownership optional in Atlanta. And so, again, if you're wondering what we think, revert back to the plan. On to slide 10. This will probably be the last time we show you this slide, because it's our baseline. It's our Vision Zero baseline for 2019. And I want to jump ahead to slide 11, and just remember that when we started Vision Zero, we had 73 fatalities on our streets, and our goal is 0. And I think we can get there sooner than the 25 years that Europe has experienced. But there are going to be some things that may be a little bit out of the norm that we need to be discussing next year. And I want to use this last little bit of time in my update to tee up some topics for next year. You know that moving to slide 12, we've focused a lot on speed limit reduction. We're going to continue to look at, you saw today, the Councilmember Boone requesting a speed study and traffic study on Peyton Road. It's interesting there. I really want to thank the members of the community, specifically Mrs. Lloyd and Mrs. Rose, who took me out there. And while we were driving the corridor, this was a year ago, I think we were passed no fewer than 3 times just driving the speed limit. And so Peyton Road has really, in many respects, become the model for this traffic calming playbook. There's no silver bullet, but there are a number of things that we can do to start reining in some of these behaviors. And so just know that we're continuing to address speed as our top priority. So as we talk about these things, with limited resources, we're going to be talking about priorities. So next year, we're going to be diving deeper into our prioritization model. We're going to be moving away from a lot of the worst first approach that cities will historically implement, because we want to be looking more at an ROI type approach. Where are we getting the most bang for our buck? And that's going to be some important conversations we again have together. Moving to slide 14. We're not going to put an asterisk next to 2020 due to COVID, but it's not really been a good year. By as you can see from the title of the slide, by August 2020, 40 people have lost their lives on our streets, and the numbers going up. It was appalling in the region to see how many law enforcement officers have been hit and injured or killed on traffic stops. And so anecdotally, what we've seen is that with the reduced volumes, the speeds have increased and the severity of the crashes have increased. And so these are decisions drivers are making. They're getting in their cars and choosing to drive excessively fast. And so we're going to continue to look at the speed. I'll talk just a little bit. We continue to stand ready to support on the street racing side. We do believe that a narrower street is a slower street. We also will model mediums with our barricades, and so we are a able and happy supporter of APD in that effort, and will continue to do so. We've also started looking at specific corridors, and we're happy that on Marietta Boulevard that we actually implemented the NACTO speed guidance on that one. And then Hosea was another good success in working with the community and Councilmember Archibald's office to get that speed limit lowered. So more corridors to come. Moving on to slide 16. Just know that we're going to keep talking about equity, and we feel very strongly that there are areas of this city that really need extra attention, and we believe that it's our job to advocate for those areas, and you can see them indicated on this map, that we can't, in a one Atlanta approach, we can't leave anybody behind, and so those are going to be very, very important discussions. Moving to slide 17. Engineering is a big piece of what we do. We want to be physically changing the streets. And so next year, you're going to see our traffic calming playbook come out. This is, again, inspired really in my mind by a lot of the discussions around Peyton Road, some of the work we've done on DeForest Ferry with Councilmember Hillis and you, Councilmember Dickens, Chairman Dickens, and just, knowing that there's not a quick fix, but that victory is incremental and we need to be moving in that direction. We're very excited that the Tactical Urbanism Guide made it out this year. And you can see even today, shortly after the Tactical Urbanism Guide has come out, we're talking about dining and parking spaces, using different uses for the right-of-way, prioritizing the people of Atlanta over the cars of Atlanta. I would even add that the community of the East Atlanta Village, they were probably the first to implement crosswalk orders. And so even small things like that, we think, really send a strong message that the streets are really spaces for the people to use and not just corridors for people throughout the region to get into the city. And then the last bullet point here, we're implementing the Safer Streets plan. We've paved Spring, we've striped Spring, Cherokee is wrapping up, and so we're looking at the Phase 2 project and how we push those into construction next year. I'm going to jump ahead, if that's okay, to slide 19, because I thought there was a great comment made. Somebody mentioned to me that we should be showing pictures here, and we're going to, and we want to show our own success stories of before and after. But just know, as we talk about the engineering and physical changes, that there will be a narrowing of the streets, that slower is okay. And that when you look at average times on many of our corridors, it's greatly influenced by the crash rates. And so the reduction of crashes really actually serves to improve the performance of the street. Well, the way you reduce the crashes is you slow people down. And so I want to end, because we've talked about policy, engineering, and then the last leg of Vision Zero enforcement. On slide 20, this is probably a presentation in and of itself, but I want to just tee this up for 2021 and say, we've asked ourselves the question, how would we enforce these policy changes that we've made with less dependence on APD? And that's not to say that we don't need them or don't want them. It's really independent of any conversation around APD. It's really, how do we allow the street to influence the behaviors? And so there's going to be more discussions about technology in the right-of-way. And I've put a few things down, the security cameras, surveillance cameras, license plate readers. We want to talk more about automated speed enforcement. We think that's an important tool in the toolbox. And then there's very soon there's going to be a lot more discussion about connected vehicles. And Atlanta's really in a unique position to be a beneficiary of what's coming in the technology and automotive associations. So I'm not going to go into great detail there, but just know that we're really looking at how does enforcement become a DOT thing versus an APD thing, and more conversations to come on that. Slide 21, our ongoing priorities. I think the important thing here, it's already been mentioned, the traffic calming toolkit and the prioritization modeling. Everything else we've reported on, we've delivered, or they're in progress. So those are all positives. Slide 22, I'm going to fly through the Renew T-SPLOST update because I want to get to the TIM section. So let's jump ahead to slide 24. On the revenue side, and I know especially for folks who have projects that are at the tail end of the Renew T-SPLOST program, there's been some concern expressed. The T-SPLOST collections are in a good place, and you can see on the far right-hand side of slide 24 that July, August, September, October were all over $4 million. And in fact, November, we just got those numbers, was also about $4.6 million. And so the initial estimates that we ran were showing that if we hit the $4 million mark, that we would be fine. So we're encouraged by the collection recovery that we've seen. We're cautiously optimistic as we go through the winter, and we'll continue to report on the revenue side. But it's looking very good. I believe we're back to about an even on the revenue collection. So that's encouraging to see. I'm gonna skip over the dashboards because you get those every month, and we can talk about those another time. So let's jump ahead to slide 31. And so I've cut a little time out, and I want to tee this up for the Transportation Infrastructure Management team, and if I may just share some personal reflection working with this team. This was actually the one I was most anxious about, and not because I thought there were any issues, but just because there were so many moving parts. And I was concerned because we couldn't afford to have a half a step back and then 2 steps forward. And so I remembered years ago, early in my career, I was working on a project with 2 young engineers, and we were having some productivity issues. And I asked them, I said, well, what's something that we could do to improve our productivity? And one of them just looked at me and said, why don't you stay home tomorrow? And I said, what are you talking about? He goes, you're the one slowing us down. Just get out of our way. And so I kept hearing those comments as I got involved with Cotina and her team was, I'm not here to save the day. I'm here to help. Really, how do I stay out of the way and support what's going on? And there's a lot of good within this team, and there's a lot of stories that haven't been told. And so today's our first attempt to tell the story, and I continue to just be really pleased and impressed with the efforts of the TIM team, because the things that we control and the things that we do on a day-to-day basis, we do very well. And so with that, I'd like to turn this over to Cotina and Pierre to talk a little bit about this team and what makes us tick and what we're trying to do moving forward. And so with that, I'm going to pass the baton over to Cotina.
Good morning. Thank you, Commissioner Rowan. As Commissioner Rowan said, I will start off and then I will punt to Pierre and he will take us through the performance of the department. So good morning, Transportation Committee and Chairman Dickens. Thanks for the opportunity to present to you all. Transportation Infrastructure Management, or TIM as we like to call it for short. This is our section that deals with maintaining the city's assets. So once an asset is installed and upgraded, this is the team that makes sure it works correctly and responds to any outages or any issues relating to those installations. We have 4 major groups in our TIM section: roadway maintenance, which includes all of our potholes, any street repairs, any bridge repairs, ADA compliance, concrete, and unpaved streets. We have signs and markings, which is emergency and non-emergency sign repair and installation, all of our street markings, all of our curb markings. Any traffic studies also fall under this section. We have traffic signals and street lights, which is emergency and non-emergency traffic signal repair, and any minor and major street light repair and upgrade. Our Atlanta Traffic Control Center also falls under this section. And the 4th section is our right-of-way management and inspections. And this is where all of our agreements, all of our encroachments, dedications, abandonments, and our right-of-way inspections fall. TIM also coordinates and works very closely with our capital delivery and Renew Atlanta program for capital project funding and delivery. Slide 33. So when you think of TIM, I know a lot of times we think of the operational teams that are boots on the ground in the field, making the installations and making the repairs. But TIM is comprised of over 200 employees, and those employees have a vast background ranging from professionals all the way to operational people. Of those 206 employees, we have 12 Six Sigma Green Belt professionals. We have 1 Six Sigma Black Belt professional. We have 25 engineers, which include 6 professional engineers who are licensed to practice in the state of Georgia. We have 4 certified project management professionals, and we have 1 law degree on our team. Slide 34 is just an overview of the agenda. I've already gone over the overview of TIM. We will talk about our autumn special operations, our winter readiness, and then we will deep dive into our performance metrics by area. And then we will turn it back over to Commissioner Rowan for any questions and answers, any questions that you all may have. So Operation Clean Sweep. Back in September of this year, we were tasked to help out our solid waste division in the Department of Public Works with their right-of-way delittering and cutting. And so since that time, we have helped them close out over 500 service requests and cut and delitter over 48 miles of right-of-way. The teams that are assisting with this effort is 2 crews of 13 members each, and those employees were taken from our signs and markings facility, our signal facility, and our right-of-way maintenance facility. Slide 36. Also this year, we had the opportunity to partner with our parks department to assist with removing over 500 downed trees from the right-of-way as a result of Tropical Storm Zeta. And those are just some pictures of our crews on site cutting the trees up and putting them on the back of the truck to be taken away. Winter preparedness. As we get into our winter weather season, we're hopeful as always that we don't have any incidents, but in case we do, we are ready. And our readiness includes we've hired a Deputy Director for Emergency Preparedness in ATL DOT. We've also coordinated with our key stakeholders, and they include Watershed, DPW, and the Department of Planning to talk about our approach to tropical storms and any winter weather. We've also established our departmental command and coordination structure. We've concluded our winter planning conference, and it was virtual this year, so that was a bit different for everyone. We've also conducted 3 drive runs, and we were able to do that by adhering to the COVID-19 safety measures. And we also assisted with some issues that came from Hurricane Sally back in September also, by cleaning out some storm drains along bridges to reduce flooding, and then taking care of some down signals and some flashing signals. Our training and exercises is the first phase that we've completed. We completed our NIMS and ICS training courses for our leadership team. We facilitated several chainsaw trainings for our team members in case there are other named storms and trees are down. We completed our web EOC training for our data support operational team, and we also identified the necessary people for any additional training needs. Slide 38. The budget. So this budget is based on first quarter, so it takes us from July through September. We have a budget of a little over $10,120. So far, we have $6 million encumbered, which leaves us about $28 million left to spend. The reason that number seems fairly low is because when the ATL DOT budget was created, some of our requisitions and POs were still hitting the DPW budget line item. So that is currently being rectified with procurement, our finance team, as well as the city's finance team, and the encumbrances will increase here soon. And so as we look at the trend for this budget, we are trending to be on budget in FY21. So we will not be over, we will not be under, we will spend the entire budget. Slide 39. And so now Pierre will come and he will talk about the performance metrics for Tim. He may be muted.
One moment, we're just making sure he's on the line.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, council members. My name is Pierre Johnson, and I am the performance PMO for the department. I'm going to talk about some insights on the operational areas in TIMS. We'll start out with slide 39, signs and street markings. The signs inventory in the city is approximately 100,000 signs installed in the right-of-way. During the first quarter, we have installed over 663 signs. This sign division is currently working with 3M to develop a sign replacement inventory strategy The strategy will ensure that the replacement signs program meet the MUTCD retroreflectivity requirements. The street marking crews completed over 227 street marking projects. In the look ahead, our Signs and Marking Division has 3 items that's currently open in procurement. The first 2 items are in our bid stages, and they are our traffic speed table contract, and the second one is our thermoplastic striping contract. The third contract is awaiting execution with the Georgia Correctional Institute to fabricate our signs, and this contract will help us to reduce costs and to ensure or enhance our install repair turnaround times. Slide 40, roadway maintenance. Our roadway maintenance is responsible for the repair and maintenance of our city-owned roads, sidewalks, bridges, and unpaved roads. There are 4,500 miles of roadway in the city, 2,565 miles of installed sidewalk, and 269 bridges that the city is responsible to inspect and maintain. Some key accomplishments in the last quarter includes a repair of 652 potholes and 26 point repairs, over 12,000 square feet of sidewalk installed, 98,000 feet of shaped and gravel installed on our unpaved streets, and we completed over 1,300 bridge repairs and inspections, ranging from cleaning the bridges to joist replacements. Over the last few months, we've had a rash of racing in the city. Our team has been instrumental in implementing what we call the traffic calming measure, our barricade fortifications. We fortified areas that are prone, such as Edgewood and Castleberry Hills. As part of the look ahead, the department will continue to work with our solid waste department on the operational clean sweep and be vigilant and prepared for possible weather events. Slide 41, signals and streetlights. Presently, the city has 54,000 streetlights under its purview. 37,000 are leased streetlights, 10,000 are city-owned, and just under 7,000 are highway lights. There are over 1,000 signalized intersections in the city. In last quarter, we repaired over 200 streetlights and 1,115 signal repairs. Currently, there are major upgrades being made to modernize the signal heads to LED and update the electrical cabinets. All signalized intersections have been wired with fiber or a router installed to communicate with the Atlanta Traffic Control Center. Also, several intersections have been updated with grid smart detection. This technology will allow our engineers to adjust signal timing and traffic flow strategy along with real-time monitoring. In the look ahead, the signs and street light crews are helping to reduce electrical costs by installing meters on all newly constructed street lights and signals. They are replacing non-LED street lights with LED street light heads where budget allows. Also, the Signal and Streetlight Division is performing an assessment to better understand where streetlights are needed in our city. This assessment is scheduled to be completed around FY22. Slide 42, roadway management and inspections. Roadway management and inspections manage the franchise company's permitting and construction activities. Franchise companies include firms providing basic services to our public that include power, gas, telecom, fiber optics, and cellular service. In recent years, telecom companies have embarked on deployment of small cell poles in the city of Atlanta. Small cell permitting activity has generated over $2 million of revenue. This team also managed the inspection of construction sites and other disturbances within the right-of-way. Inspectors ensure that the approved traffic control plan is correctly implemented at various construction sites. The flow of vehicular and pedestrian traffic is the primary goal of the right-of-way management team. Permits are also issued to qualified contractors with bonding and insurance requirements. Permits range from lane closures to sidewalk closures, full road closures, qualified contractors permits, banner permits, and dumpster permits. In FY21 Q1, the right-of-way management team has issued over 2,500 permits, 1,400 of them being franchises permits, 574 lane closure permits, and 542 small cell permits. We also enhanced management of our qualified contractor permits with reallocation of resources, enhanced the management of our metal plate tracking process, and commenced to sidewalk dining permitting. This group is also responsible for the management of the maintenance contract for the newly planned landscaping and some of our selected entrance and exit ramps on I-75, 85, and I-20. A new contract is currently being solicited. In the look ahead, the team is working to ensure all permits are available online, that inspectors are trained to carry out their duties, and to continue to build on the collaboration efforts with our buildings office. And lastly, slide 43, the Atlanta Traffic Control Center. The Atlanta Traffic Control Center resides on the 4th floor of City Hall. The primary function of the ATCC is to monitor and maintain communication of the city's signalized intersections. Through this monitoring, the team can proactively report outages of the signal crews and make real-time traffic adjustments. This team also has the ability to monitor, report on school flashers as if a problem is detected, monitor APD cameras, and monitor and report incidents of signalized intersections of state routes that intersect with the city routes. In the look ahead, multiple projects have already been identified to connect more of our intersections to the City Hall via fiber by FY22. To install our Maxwell server that will give a centralized view and control of the entire network, and have Troflop software installed at both the state level and the city level to give us real-time performance metrics. Well, this concludes the insights from the TIM update. I will now turn it back over to the Commissioner Rowan.
Thanks, Peter and Cotina. That was awesome. I will share the number that two numbers continue to jump out at me, and it's 4,500 miles of roadway. Essentially, we could pave a lane to Los Angeles, turn around and pave a lane back. That's quite an extensive street network. And then you could have knocked me over with a feather the day I found out that we had 54,000 streetlights. I certainly, my mental estimate was nowhere close to reality. And so that's another conversation we'll be having early next year, is bringing the data forward on the streetlight evaluation. So just a lot on the plate with this team, and really good things going on. And I would share too that Pierre has really done a lot to change the way we view our performance. We're even talking about gamifying some of our work, where we score points based on the work we do so we can compare it to our costs. So a lot of interesting things to come on that side. So wrapping this one up, let's go to slide 45. What's next for the department? I'm not going to read these to you because these are ongoing things. This is nothing new here. Where we're going to continue to talk about safety, state of good repair, and transit operations and efficiency in the city as it ties to our strategic plan. You're going to hear us talk a lot about Vision Zero, a lot about how to pay for these maintenance type projects. In fact, next week we'll have a pretty interesting mathematical exercise we do together. So moving to slide 46, we like to show show this one, the upcoming construction. I've mentioned before that we're moving quickly into the construction phase of the new T-SPLOS, and some big projects are on the horizon. So 2021 will be a busy year for construction. Slide 47, we always need to be thanking our partners. It can't be understated how important working with our partners are in the city. We don't do any of this work in a vacuum, and we continue to be very appreciative of the support and the partnership we receive from everyone. And in fact, it's interesting. Every time I look at the slide, I see one that we've missed, and so we'll add one for the next time that I've just noticed. But really want to had some interactions this week with the State Road and Tollway Authority and Chris Tomlinson. They too have been a great partner in all of this. And then last but not least, and we'll wrap it up with, follow us on social media. We stay pretty active. We try to push out information and in a fairly real-time manner to keep people updated. And so with that, we will wrap up this presentation and be happy to accept any questions you all may have.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Rowan and your entire team for this presentation today, and thank you for your work throughout this past year. Let me check to see if there. Yes, Mr. Faroki. Mr. Faroki has a comment or question. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll be very quick. I just wanted to say to Commissioner Rowan and the DOT team, thank you for getting off to a strong start for a new department. I think all of us have largely been impressed and happy with both your responsiveness and the work you've been doing. There is one box, well, probably several, but one box of great importance to the residents of District 2 that's yet to be checked, and that is the reconfiguration and repaving of DeKalb Avenue. I thought I'd check in to see the latest on DeKalb Avenue work.
Oh, certainly. So DeKalb Avenue, Cascade, unpaved roads, and Finley Plaza are moving this week back into procurement. I've signed the trigger package memo. This is probably a longer conversation offline, but we've had two issues. Finley Plaza is a rebid because we had two bids that were very high, and it seemed like the contractors were playing some games with us. Cascade had one bid and it was very low, and so we've made some changes to our procurement strategy, and we didn't want to risk DeKalb Avenue having to go through procurement twice, so we pulled it back, made the same changes to DeKalb that we've made to Cascade, and we're going to move these in a wave. And so it's going to be going into procurement really, essentially now, with the idea that we'll get a fast start once the winter weather breaks.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have, Chairman.
Okay. Are there other procurement challenges that, are there timing issues or reach? I would imagine that we have all of the, when we put out a bid, there's the whole universe of construction crews bid on our projects because, they anticipate these things. But, I mean, if you were to just speak on that for a second about procurement and what do you see as a better path forward for making sure that as we roll out all these projects that we don't have delays and we don't have non-competitive high bids?
Yes, sir. I think there are a couple angles you can take with your question. I would actually go back to the beginning of this year. We focused on some very important features. I had actually talked to the Georgia Highway Contractors Association, and they made three comments. They said, you don't pay your bills in a timely manner, your contracts are onerous, and we don't like your OCC program. And we told them, well, we can clean up the billing, and we have. It was even noted in the audit that we're turning around invoices in 30 days, and that's a really big deal. A shout out to our finance team for quick turnaround. Jessica and the capital projects team has really been working hard through this year to standardize a lot of our contract documents, our bid documents, so that everything becomes consistent. And we basically told them, OCC, we're not going to talk to you about it. We support the program. We want to see open bids. We want to see the joint ventures for over $5 million. We want you to meet your participation goals. That's a non-starter for us. So 2 out of 3 ain't bad. And a lot of times what I've found is that contractors, there are 2 schools of thought. There's the kind of get in, get done, get out, and then there's the go low and play games. And we've had our fair share of go low and play games. And I would go back to some of the issues we had on a project that was right in Councilmember Massagite's front yard, but it was essentially we had a choice to blow up the schedule or blow up the budget, and we blew up the schedule. And so when it comes to some of the pressures to deliver, we're going to seek to deliver the best product. And so I think you're going to see, going even back to February, we had some industry outreach events. We're really, I think, in a more positive position with the contracting community. We're never going to just, cave in. We're going to be a very aggressive owner, but we're going to be a very just owner. And so what had happened, there were a couple of mechanisms that we had that were using pre-qualified contractors, and those pre-qualified contractors weren't bidding. And that's where we made the decision, let's hit the pause button on that, and let's just do full public bid on everything. It'll add a little time, but we think we're going to get better competition and better pricing. There have been a number of reputable larger firms who have said, we'd like to do your work and we're prepared to learn how to play the game with the diversity subcontractors. And so we're excited about that. And it's, procurement can be kind of witchcraft sometimes, but we feel like we're moving in the right direction, and we'll see in this next round of bids.
All right, so we said we pay late, which I've heard before. I heard about OCC, but we're not doing anything. What was the second one, to be clear on that?
The contract, the terms of our contracts. And so number 1 and number 2 are no longer issues. The OCC thing, I believe it's a fake issue. It's not really that hard to comply with the program. You either have a mind for doing it or you don't. And we want folks who come in and participate in that program. That's why it exists. I even, one of the things I'd like to start monitoring is, are we able to provide opportunities for new firms to get into the game? And in fact, Martin Clark and I have talked about potentially unbundling some projects to have smaller projects and more opportunities for small local DBE contracting firms to get opportunities with the city. And it may create a bit of a little more administrative work on our end, but we really feel there are going to be opportunities to start rebuilding our contractor base. And really for the past 10 years, Atlanta's been in an interesting position where you have a handful of large contractors and a lot of small contractors. There's a void in the middle. And so I believe we can rebuild that void in the middle by focusing on some of these smaller projects. And so that's what we're going to look to do. And so, Barrington is our operations lead. We're looking at projects under $500,000. Can we do those quickly? Can we do those in quantity? And I think those will be great opportunities for the smaller local contractors to really jump in. Because my observation has been, generally speaking, they know how to do the work. It's the administrative side of doing work with the city that can be challenging. And so why not learn that on a $100,000 job instead of a $10 million job? And because we're taking the position that the contract's the contract. We're not the nice guys who are going to yield on contractual provisions, but we want to set firms up to be successful.
Okay. All right, good. Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Ives is the next speaker. Ms. Ives? Let's see. You raised your hand, Ms. I don't know if you got pulled away.
Sorry. I couldn't find my mute button.
Okay.
I'm here. Well, thank you, Commissioner Rowan. This is a really
informative presentation. And I just wanted to circle on one thing you mentioned about halfway through of the automated safety measures, and you may know this, but to give my committee members, colleagues, an update, Mr. Matsukite and I have stayed determined on the school zone speed cameras, and have been working with the administration on that, and I've been talking to the school board chair, and I'm hopeful that at that first meeting in January, we will have legislation ready in order to implement that program in Atlanta and the Atlanta Public School zone.
That's great.
Just wanted to give you guys that update. Yeah.
No, that's great news. And what's exciting to us is we're really starting to get into some of these higher level issues that impact each and every council district. And so I think there's a real unity behind an initiative like this, and really appreciate your cooperation and really driving this and in support of the department.
Yeah, and it's absolutely a citywide. I mean, I've spoken to the vendor that APS is going to choose, and they have committed to it being a citywide, any school that needs it, program, so that we bring safety across the city. So hopefully when we come back from recess, that'll be ready to roll.
Well, that's great news.
That's
Thank
it.
you.
Yep.
All right. Any other council members have any comments or questions regarding the presentation? Well, seeing none, thank you again. You wrapped up a lot of the work that we did. This year, every member of this committee actually put forth some piece of legislation related to transportation of some type, whether that's sidewalks or street paving or street lights or, financing of things. So either sponsored or co-sponsored. So, and I think they've had a lot of offline conversations with the Department of Transportation regarding, various things that are necessary in the districts for the district folks, and just broadly for the at-large. So next year will be another year full of things for us to do. So looking forward to it. So, Mr. Pulandini, are we ready to go back to that final item from the airport?
Yes, the updated version was emailed to all the committee members a little while ago, and I'll read in the caption now. A resolution by Transportation Committee to ratify the effective date and provide an annual funding allocation in an amount not to exceed $21,039,239.04 per year for FC-9572 HSSALLN 1-HBL LLC Security Screening and Inspection Services at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport. All contractors work to be charged to and paid from fund numbers listed to correct the enabling legislation, Resolution 17-R-4113, adopted by the Atlanta City Council on September 5th, 2017, and approved by operation of law on September 14th, 2017, and for other purposes.
Okay, let's hear from the airport.
Yes, sir. John Selden, the general manager of Hartsfield-Jackson. This is a paper where in 2017, a 3-year contract with a 2-year renewal option was approved by City Council. Unfortunately, it only funded one of the fiscal years, the first fiscal year, for $21 million. So this paper is correcting that. The money is in the budget, and we certainly enjoy the services of HSS. They provide us 5 employee screening checkpoints. They inspect all of our 7 concourses. They operate our 9 vehicle gates. And they do respond to all door alarms, which is where an individual goes out a door that they shouldn't. There's a time limit by the TSA. And they patrol our perimeter, miles of perimeter fence here for us. This legislation will correct the start date, which is now February 13, 2018. So the initial term here will expire in February of 2021, and we will be coming back to execute the option at that time and correct the funding source so we can pay our bills here going forward. Thank you.
All right, I make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we got a second by Westmoreland. Let's prepare our vote. And I know Mr. Mazikite had to jump off just a few minutes ago.
Okay, the vote is open.
You got it, guys.
Will everyone please vote?
Mr. Brown, are you still on the phone? I know Mr. Mazikite is away. Mr. Brown, are you? Let me see here. Okay. I'm not seeing or hearing Mr. Brown either, so let's mark them both away.
The vote is closed. 5 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable.
Thank you very much. You're welcome. Is that all? Is that everything, Ms. Fulanese?
Yes, Mr. Chair. That concludes our legislative items.
Can you make the announcement about our event? Next, we have the work session about sidewalk funding, December 9th, 5 p.m., yes. And how can the public watch it?
Yes, one moment, please. I'll just pull up the public notice. The Transportation Committee will be holding a work session on sidewalk funding on Wednesday, December 9th at 5 p.m. That's next week. The public may access the meeting by dialing conference bridge 877-579-6743, conference ID 831-599-1256. They can also access the work session on Channel 26, the Council's homepage at citycouncil.atlantaga.gov, the Council's YouTube channel, or the Council's Facebook and Twitter pages via @ATL Council. They can leave public comment associated with this work session at 404-330-6021. Messages are not to exceed 3 minutes and will be accepted between the hours of 4 and 7 p.m. the day before the work session.
All right, thank you. All right, if there are no other questions or comments, we stand adjourned. Thank you.